You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW's Battle of the Belts 2 that actually just finished airing on TNT. It was a taped show. It was not a live show, unlike the last Battle of the Belts, but overall thoughts on Battle of the Belts 2, it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed the show for what it was. We had 3 matches on the card. Of course, we had the TNT Championship match between Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara, the Ring of Honor World Championship being defended on the show, Jonathon Gresham defending his title against Dalton Castle, and the main event, that being Thunder Rosa defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Nyla Rose. Overall, it was a pretty good show, but again, as I've stated in my first Battle of the Belts review, this show did not seem important at all. To be quite honest with you, it felt like a Rampage. That's what the show felt like. And, you know, to me, if you're having a show like Battle of the Belts happen 4 times a year on TNT, it should be more important than what it is. You know, it's not as important as what AEW seems it out to be, in my opinion. But I'll talk about that later on the review. But before I get on with my Battle of the Belts review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is now available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast in audio format, it's available on all of those platforms. All right, let's get on with Battle of the Belts. Overall, as I stated earlier, the show was a pretty good show for what it was. I enjoyed the show, but again, Battle of the Belts is not as important as what AEW makes it out to be. It's not a pay-per-view quality show by any means. It's supposed to be that. You know, AEW Battle of the Belts is supposed to be their version of Clash of the Champions from WCW or WWE's Saturday Night's Main Event. That's what this show is supposed to be, but it's not. And I'll talk about that later on in the review, but right now we're going to be talking about the show itself. Of course, the show kicks off with the TNT Championship match with Scorpio Sky defending his title against Sammy Guevara in a rematch, in which, of course, the previous match, Scorpio Sky beat Sammy Guevara in shocking fashion, by the way. I actually thought Sammy Guevara was actually going to be going over in that match, but Scorpio Sky won the TNT Championship. Overall, thoughts on this match? This is a great opener to the show. I enjoyed the opening match, but one thing about this match, and one thing that was really interesting, was the finish, but also the crowd. The crowd was really, you know, split between liking Sammy Guevara and hating Sammy Guevara. As you guys know, the AEW fans are not taking a liking with Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara. I don't have any problem with it, to be quite honest with you. Like, in my opinion, I feel like their real-life relationship is their thing, and leave them alone with that. You know, a lot of people were just angry about the fact that, you know, like on Twitter, like, you know, they were so angry about their relationship, you know, all that stuff. And I'm like, bro, it's none of your business. Chill the fuck out. But overall, Sammy Guevara did get that mixed reaction from the crowd, and a lot of people like were making them to be like really annoying on television for the past couple of weeks. But I personally did not have a problem with it. But you know, the crowd and the audience is not really taking a liking to Sammy Guevara, and he did show heel tactics in the finish of this match, which Sammy Guevara did win the TNT Championship. I actually thought Scorpio Sky was going to be going over, but his title reign ended shortly thereafter. But yeah, man, overall the match was really good. I enjoyed the match. The spots were good as well. The match starts. Sammy goes straight for the attack. He works on Scorpio Sky in the corner, but then Sky goes for a double leg takedown after that. He goes for multiple rights and lefts on Sammy Guevara. He takes Sammy into the corner. He goes to the middle rope and hits repeated rights. Then he bites the hand, the head of Sammy Guevara. Sammy then fights back with a couple of chops. We get a chop by Sammy. Sammy then goes for a backdrop, and then we get a bunch. Now, this is an example of the crowd being mixed on Sammy Guevara. So while Sammy was in the offense, you heard the crowd saying, "Let's go, Sammy. Sammy sucks." So a little nod right there to John Cena when during his heyday, he did get that mixed reaction from the crowd, and we got a bunch of "Let's go, Cena, Cena sucks" chants. This was the case with Sammy Guevara, and this is what I'm talking about, Sammy Guevara getting that mixed reaction. Both exchange shots. We get a drop kick by Sammy Guevara. Sammy then goes to the outside. He sends Sky into the guardrail. Then after that, Sky regains control and throws Sammy to the guardrail again. Then we get a slam by Scorpio Sky onto the floor. We get a right hand by Sky. Then Sky takes, or I should say Sammy. Sammy takes Sky back in the ring. Sammy at this point is on the apron with Scorpio Sky. But then Sky picks up Sammy out of nowhere and hits the TKO, the same move that had Sammy Guevara pinned center in the mat where Scorpio Sky won the TNT Championship. So hits the TKO on the apron. And once we go from commercial break, once we're back, Sky is in control. We get a bunch of body shots by Scorpio Sky. Then Sammy goes to the outside. Both are back in the ring. We get a backbreaker by Sky. Sky then goes for the second backbreaker and then a third. But then when he tries to go for a fourth backbreaker, Sammy escapes and then he hits a beautiful enziguri on Scorpio Sky. Then Sammy goes for a standing Spanish fly, which, dude, I don't know why, man. Sammy Guevara does the best Spanish flies, man. The guy's awesome. Spanish fly is one of my favorite moves. So he hits the Spanish fly. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of chops by Sammy. And then he sends Sky into the corner, but then Scorpio Sky escapes. Then he hits a leaping mule kick on Sky. Then Sammy goes to the top. But Ethan Page comes in and pulls Sky to the outside. Of course, Ethan Page is part of the Men of the Year with Dan Lambert. So he comes in the match, but then Ty Conti, who is on the outside, argues with Ethan Page. Then Sammy goes to the top. He hits a shooting star press on both Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page on the outside. We get an inside cradle by Sky, and we get a near fall. But then Sky picks up Sammy, but Sammy escapes. Sammy goes onto the apron. We get a high kick or a gamengiri or an enziguri, whatever you want to call it, by Sammy. Then Sammy goes for the springboard cutter, but he didn't get it 100%. Sammy then picks up Sky. Sky escapes. Then Ty Conti does some heel tactic and actually slaps Sky when the referee was not looking. So she slaps Sky, and then after that, we get a roll-up by Sammy, but we get a near fall. Then Paige Van Zant comes out for the attack, and then both Paige Van Zant and Ty Conti brawl on the outside. Then Sky goes for the eye poke, but then Sammy hits the low blow. Yes, Sammy's the babyface, and he hits a low blow. Now, granted, Scorpio Sky was cheating in the match with the eye poke as well. Is the eye poke legal? Like, I can't recall. I may be retarded. But Sammy goes for the low blow. He hits the GTH, and we get a cover. Sammy Guevara is the TNT champion. Overall, this is a great match. Great opener for Battle of the Belts. Enjoyed the match for what it was. Honestly, though, I actually expected Scorpio Sky to go over, but that was not the case. But what are my thoughts on Sammy winning via heel tactics? Where does this lead to? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they turned Sammy Guevara heel. I feel like Sammy Guevara, even though I have enjoyed, me personally, I actually have enjoyed his babyface run. To be quite honest, I just genuinely feel he's so much better as a heel, and he's more of a douchebag as a heel, to be quite honest with you. And it makes for good television, in my opinion. But, where does this lead to? If fans are starting to not take a liking of Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti, I mean, who knows? Maybe AEW is going to, fire the shot and actually go 100% forward with the heel turn with Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti. We'll have to wait and see in the near future. But at the end of the day, right now, Sammy Guevara is your new TNT champion. All right. In our next match of the evening, we got Jonathon Gresham. Yes, the Ring of Honor World Championship is being defended. Jonathon Gresham, who actually won the undisputed Ring of Honor Championship. Of course, he was the interim champion. Him and Bandito had a great match at Supercard of Honor WrestleMania weekend a couple of weeks ago. It was a fantastic main event. Overall, Supercard of Honor was a great show. And this was my first Ring of Honor show that I watched in full. I enjoyed the show for what it was. It was a great show. And, there was great wrestling on the show. Of course, FTR and Briscoes had a fantastic match. And Jonathon Gresham and Bandito absolutely killed it. But Jonathon Gresham is the undisputed Ring of Honor champion, and he's defending his title against Dalton Castle, who is a former Ring of Honor champion, which I've heard a little bit of Dalton Castle, but I really haven't seen a lot. I haven't seen his matches at all. I'm being 100% honest here. I'm not really that familiar with Dalton Castle. But thankfully, we got a match with Jonathon Gresham and Dalton Castle. So we got the Ring of Honor World Championship on the line, which honestly, to be quite honest, I love the fact that we are seeing Ring of Honor representation on AEW television before we're going to be getting that weekly show with Ring of Honor, which is the rumored thing right now. So we do not know what television deal Ring of Honor is going to be airing on because we all know Tony Khan recently purchased Ring of Honor. So, and he's planning on running Ring of Honor as a separate entity and as AEW's developmental. So we're gonna have to wait and see where what Tony Khan's plans are going to be doing for Ring of Honor. But you know, I love the fact that we're seeing Ring of Honor representation on Dynamite and Rampage and Battle of the Belts in this case. And it's great seeing Jonathon Gresham on AEW television as well. And he's officially signed. I believe he's already he's already all elite, and he's going to be competing for the Ring of Honor brand. So that is great to see. Of course, he is the Ring of Honor World Champion. But we got Jonathon Gresham versus Dalton Castle. Both apply the Code of Honor. If you guys do not know what the Code of Honor is, it's a tradition in Ring of Honor in which both competitors shake each other's hands before the match starts. So great to see the Code of Honor applied in AEW. Both lock up. We get a wrist lock by Castle. We got a side headlock takeover by Jonathon Gresham. Castle then goes to the outside. We get a takedown by Castle. We get a series of gut wrenches by Dalton Castle. And then he plants Gresham to the mat. Then Gresham regains control. We get a back elbow by Dalton Castle. Then he hits a clothesline. Gresham then goes up and over, but then runs into a boot by Castle. We get a lot of boots by Dalton Castle, by the way. Again, this is my first Dalton Castle match, so bear with me. If he does a lot of boots on his matches, all right, that's great. But we get a middle rope springboard by a Hurricane Rana by Gresham. That was a beautiful Hurricane Rana, by the way. Then after that, Gresham tricks Castle into hitting a drop kick, and he actually tricks Castle, and then he proceeds to actually hit a drop kick on Castle. Once we go to commercial break, Gresham is in control during the commercial break. Once we're back, Castle then goes to the outside. Gresham then goes over the top rope for a Hurricane Rana, but then lands on his feet. Then Castle takes him down. Then they both go back in the ring. Both then duck each other's chops. So both were in the corner, and they actually try to chop each other. But every time when they try to go for a chop, one of the competitors constantly ducked. So 1 second, Gresham would actually try to chop Castle, but then Castle would duck, and then vice versa, which was great to see. I loved that visual, by the way. But after that, we get a chop by Gresham. Castle then goes for the overhead throw, and then Castle hits a suplex. Then he runs into a back elbow by Gresham, and then Gresham hits a deadlift overhead throw. Then Castle's in control, but then Castle runs into a boot. Gresham then almost gets hit with the Bangaram. I think that's what it's called. That's his finisher. I believe that's what it is. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. I haven't watched the Dalton Castle match. I'm not really that familiar with Ring of Honor. Both then go for roll-up reversals. And when I'm talking about roll-up reversals, these guys were going for roll-ups. Those guys kept on countering each other's roll-ups back and forth as longer than I expected. I expected that to really just end quickly, but no, it was actually going for a little while. We get a boot by Castle. Gresham then goes for an enziguri, but then Castle fires back with a lariat. Then Castle misses another boot. Then Gresham goes for a stomp in the boot of Castle. Then Gresham applies the octopus hold, but then Castle taps out and Jonathon Gresham wins the match. Overall thoughts on this match. It was a great match. Again, I love the fact that the Ring of Honor championships are being defended on AEW television. And it's a great showing. Before the possible Ring of Honor weekly show is going to pop up, I love the fact that they're, starting up with angles for Ring of Honor. And this shows. I mean, this match was really good, but what happens after, it's a Ring of Honor angle. So after the match, what happens is Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, if you guys do not recall, Satnam Singh made his debut, I should say botched debut on Dynamite, because that's exactly what it was. My problem wasn't necessarily Satnam Singh as a lot of other people. My problem was the way he debuted. The way he debuted was absolutely 100% wrong, and AEW deserved all the flack that they deserved, because keep in mind, you the viewer, if the lights go out, you obviously expect somebody big, but They did not showcase that. They had the lights out, and when the lights came back on, it was Satnam Singh, and nobody knew who the hell he was. That was the main issue right there. So they completely botched his debut. But he had a great showing on this show. So after that, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, who are heels, they turned heel at Supercard of Honor. So what happens is They come out, and actually before they come out, both Dalton Castle and Jonathon Gresham did apply the Code of Honor once again, because it is the rules of Ring of Honor. But Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt come out, and then Singh chokeslams the boys that are on the outside, Dalton Castle's boys, and they send they send Castle to the steel steps. My apologies. I almost lost my track on my notes. Then both face off with Gresham. But then when Satnam Singh was facing off with Gresham from behind, Jay Lethal immediately hit the lethal injection, that was a really good lethal injection, by the way. It connected perfectly. But after that, Lee Moriarty comes in for the save, but then Singh throws him down to the mat. And then Matt Sydal, who is in a crutch, comes in, but then Singh grabs one of the crutches and splits it, and then Dutt and Lethal attack Matt Sydal. But who comes out for the save? The new Ring of Honor television champion Samoa Joe comes out with the lead pipe, and the heels leave the ring. And both Samoa Joe and Jonathon Gresham, both, of course, Samoa Joe, the Ring of Honor television champion, and Jonathon Gresham, the Ring of Honor world champion, both get a toast and both stand tall in the center of the ring. Overall thoughts on this match, I enjoyed it for what it was. I really enjoyed it. Satnam Singh had a much better showing than he did on Wednesday on Dynamite. And again, it was not a problem with Satnam Singh himself. The problem was the way he debuted. If he had shown up any other way, I would have not had a problem with it whatsoever. But overall, this is a great showing. Great match, by the way, between both Jonathon Gresham and Dalton Castle. Jonathon Gresham is fantastic. And I haven't seen a lot about Jonathon Gresham, but I know he's been tearing it up in the indie scene. This guy is really good in the ring. But great to see Ring of Honor representation again. And, it was a great match. But again, it happened on a show that's not really important. Again, and this is where I'm going to talk about Battle of the Belts a little bit before I get on with the main event. The problem with Battle of the Belts is you have this show that is supposed to be a pay-per-view quality show 4 times a year on cable television on TNT. If this show, Battle of the Belts, happens 4 times a year, it's supposed to be a big deal. And it's not. It's not a big deal whatsoever. All it is just a random episode of Rampage. To me, that is a problem. The reason why I say that is because, again, it happens 4 times a year, and this is supposed to be your Clash of the Champions / Saturday night's main event. You're supposed to deliver a pay-per-view quality show on cable television. Now, granted, we sometimes see that with the Dynamite special shows like Beach Break or Fighter Fest or Blood and Guts. That is a pay-per-view quality show right there. But again, we should be seeing that on Battle of the Belts, and we're not getting that. We're just getting a normal episode of Rampage. And the matches are not bad. The matches that are on the Battle of the Belts card are not bad matches, but again, they're not really given enough build and not really given enough, importance, to be quite honest with you. And honestly, to be quite honest, they should have added the Texas Death Match between Hangman Page and Adam Cole on this show to make it more important. So what I would do to fix Battle of the Belts is, number 1, I expand the show to 2 hours because this show deserves to be 2 hours. I don't care what anybody says. All the diehards on Twitter, I don't give a single crap. The show needs to be 2 hours. The show needs to be live because this show, Battle of the Belts 2, was taped. Now, the first Battle of the Belts a couple of months ago was a live show, but this show was taped. It was actually taped last night, which to me, you shouldn't have a show like Battle of the Belts be a live show. It shouldn't be that way. And not only that, put more emphasis on the matches. I'm not saying that all the matches that we got were bad. I'm just saying that, this show needs more importance. And right now, Battle of the Belts in its current state, it's not really given that importance, to be quite honest with you. Dynamite and Rampage are more important, and rightfully so, of course. Dynamite and Rampage are your flagship shows, but Battle of the Belts only happens 4 times a year. So if Battle of the Belts happens 4 times a year, you need to give a reason for the audience to care, and AEW is not really giving that. It's just a show that happens 4 times a year on a random Saturday. That is Battle of the Belts in its current state. Hopefully, when we get to the next Battle of the Belts later this year and the next couple of years, they change the format of Battle of the Belts and they make it more important, because right now Battle of the Belts is not an important show. I remember when they first announced the quarterly specials last year, I was excited because I was always like, dude, AEW needs to have their own version of Saturday night's main event or Clash of the Champions. Have a pay-per-view quality show on television, and all we got is just a random episode of Rampage that happens 4 times a year. And that's nothing against Rampage. I think Rampage is a good show, but again, it's Battle of the Belts. This show is supposed to be important, and it's really not as important. All right, that's my little, I don't want to say rants because I'm an AEW fan, but I'm just telling the truth right here because it makes total sense. This show needs to be more important. But in our main event, we got Nyla Rose versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's Championship. I've been very critical about Nyla Rose being the first competitor or the first challenger for Thunder Rosa's AEW Women's Championship. The reason why I say that is because the past two champions, that being Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker, their first opponents were Nyla Rose. So I don't really understand why. It's like a common thing. Like every time when there's a new AEW Women's Champion, their first opponent is Nyla Rose. It's kind of getting repetitive in my opinion. Nothing against Nyla Rose. I'm just saying I'm not really as interested in Nyla Rose as I once was a couple years ago. That is just my opinion. But Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose, overall, it was a pretty good match. Was it an amazing match? No, it was not. But it got the job done, and of course, Thunder Rosa went over. It made total sense for Thunder Rosa to go over. If you honestly thought Nyla Rose was going to win, I don't know what's wrong with you. But Thunder Rosa, of course, won the match. But I'm going to get on with the match. We get a takedown by Rose. She goes after Thunder on the outside. She sends Thunder to the guardrail. We get an overhand chop by Nyla. Nyla then picks up Rosa, but then Rosa escapes and sends her to the post. And then Rosa launches off the ring post and hits a bulldog on the floor. Rosa then hits an overhead chop of her own, and then she sends Nyla to the guardrail. We get a couple of forearm shots by Rosa. Rosa then goes to the top. We get a shotgun dropkick by Rosa. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a kick to the back of Nyla Rose by Thunder Rosa. We get a sliding lariat by Thunder. We get a cover and a 1 count. Rose then regains control. Then she takes Rosa into the corner. Then Nyla Rose goes for repeated kicks, and then Thunder Rosa fires back with an elbow. Then Nyla Rose gets taken to the outside. Then Thunder Rosa is on the apron. She tries to go for a Hurricane Rana, but then it gets caught by Nyla Rose. Nyla then proceeds to hit a powerbomb onto the apron after that. Once we go to commercial break, Nyla is 100% on the offense, and she is in 100% control of the match. Nyla during the break hits a suplex onto the apron, and then she sends Rosa to the ring steps. Once we're back from commercial break, both exchange right hands. Then Rosa goes for a clothesline, but Nyla no sells. Then we get a shotgun dropkick by Thunder Rosa. She hits a stunner, dropping Nyla to the mat. Then she hits a clothesline into the corner and then drives both knees, a double knee on Rose. Then Thunder Rosa hits a missile dropkick in the corner, a series of dropkicks, I should say. She hits a dropkick in the corner, and then she hits another dropkick onto the middle rope on Nyla Rose. Then Rosa goes for a dropkick through the middle and bottom rope on Nyla Rose onto the outside. Then Rosa goes to the top. She hits a tornado on Nyla Rose onto the outside. She sends Nyla Rose to the outside again. Then Nyla Rose goes to the top. She hits a diving crossbody, but then Nyla catches her. Rosa then escapes, but then Nyla takes Rosa to the top rope. Then Nyla goes to the top. She misses a diving leg drop, her signature move, the diving leg drop. And then Rosa goes for the top for a Hurricane Rana attempt, but gets caught by Nyla Rose. But then Thunder Rosa fires back into a Code Red, which was a nice transition, by the way. We get a cover by Rosa and a near fall. We get a couple of series of clotheslines by Nyla Rose. We get a cover by Nyla Rose and a near fall. Nyla then hits a choke slam. She goes to the top, but then Rosa hits a boot. But then Nyla picks up Rosa. Rosa then escapes, but then Nyla hits a lariat. Rose, that being Nyla Rose, goes for a slam on Rosa. We get a cover and a near fall. Rosa is on the apron. She misses the senton when Rosa escaped. We get a roll up by Rosa and a near fall after that. Then Nyla goes for a powerbomb attempt, but Thunder Rosa counters and into a roll-up and wins the match. Thunder Rosa retains the AEW Women's World Championship. Overall thoughts on this match? I enjoyed the match for what it was. Was it the best match on the show? No, it wasn't. Honestly, I can't debate whether Scorpio Sky versus Sammy Guevara or Jonathon Gresham versus Dalton Castle was a better match, but both matches were really good. Not to say Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose was a bad match. I don't think it was as good as the other two matches that happened previously on the show. But Thunder Rosa wins the AEW Women's Championship. Obviously, it made total sense because this was Thunder Rosa's first defense of the AEW Women's Championship. And honestly, who is going to be her next opponent? I did not check out the rankings yet, so I have to see who possibly is going to be Thunder Rosa's next possible opponent. But honestly, I wouldn't mind if we saw a feud between Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. What is Serena Deeb doing? I completely forgot what she was doing. But overall, I'm definitely wondering who Nyla Rose's next opponent is going to be, and I'm definitely excited for that. But overall, that was my Battle of the Belts review. Overall thoughts on Battle of the Belts. It was a good show, but the problem with Battle of the Belts is it's not as important as AEW makes it out to be, especially because of the fact that the show only happens 4 times a year and it's not really being treated as serious as it should be. That is the main 100% issue with Battle of the Belts. But yeah, that was my Battle of the Belts review. Overall, again, it was a good show, but not as important. But yeah, that was my Battle of the Belts review. Tomorrow, I'm going to be coming with you guys with my SmackDown and Rampage review. I actually missed the Texas Death Match between Adam Cole and Hangman Page, so I have to go ahead and check it out. I thought SmackDown was an alright show, but I'll give you guys my thoughts on the SmackDown review tomorrow. That will be uploaded tomorrow. And yeah, be on the lookout for that video and all the other reviews that I have coming up onto the Broken Havoc podcast. And as always, it is Broken Havoc, signing out.